Hello, this is Adelaide Eternal. You're with Sarv McClinton, bringing you more Australian Highlander deck discussion. So with the intro to the 7-minute, 7-point series out of the way in video 1, we now jump straight into bringing you 7 overviews of 7 more Highlander archetypes. This is to help Aussies who are just starting with the format to decide on their deck, but also to help existing players learn more about the diverse metagame that is Australian Highlander. So if you're interested in one of these 7 decks that we overview here, just comment below the name of the deck and we'll dedicate a full 7-minute deck tech into it in an upcoming 7-minute 7-point video. Now let's continue with green-white ramp. So this is affectionately referred to as elves, very similar to the legacy version, where you use a variety of mana dorks to power out something big. The advantage obviously in Highlander is you have access to both Mox Emerald and Mox Pearl, and there's also things like Wall of Roots, Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl that just help you in addition to those mana dorks. The reason white's in the deck, of course, is because we've got Khazali Pridemage, which is amazing in the format, and Voice of Resurgence and Knight of the Reliquary. And you've also got that little splash in there for Lingering Souls, which you can also flash back as well off some mana dorks. At the end of the day, you're going to be landing some massive planeswalkers like Freyalise or Garruk Primal Hunter, and there's also just big green fatties like Hornet Queen and Prime Time and Craterhoof Behemoth, so a good one for you if you like to ramp. The next deck we're going to talk about is the blue-black control deck, also known as Landstill. Of course, there is only a single standstill in the deck, but the whole deck is built around the ability to leverage your lands. So you've got man lands in the form of Creeping Tar Pit and Conclave and the Mishra's Factory and Mutavault combo. And then you've also got Strip Mine and Wasteland, which you can recur with Crucible of Worlds too. So the Abyss is really good in this deck as well, because obviously you don't really need your creatures as much to be on the battlefield, but the occasional creature is always useful. Planeswalkers, obviously, Ashiok, whenever you think blue-black, that's where you're going. And Jason Mind Sculptor and Tamio are pretty big and able to leverage your advantage. And Innocent Blood's also great in this type of deck where you don't really need your creatures. So the next deck is a very off-kilter deck. It has a number of names, but fundamentally it revolves around the card Channel. So if you've never resolved a Channel before, prepare to be amazed because you're about to cast a 15-mana Emrakul. You can use your dorks like Birds of Paradise and the like just to power out some early plays, and most of those early plays are going to be tutors. So the deck has a large number of tutors in it, and not just the traditional types of tutors like Grim Tutor and Ristic Tutor, those that aren't pointed. There's also the transmute cards. So you can use Dimir Infiltrator or Shred Memory or Muddle the Mixture to transmute into another card that costs 2, and what better than the namesake of the deck, but Channel. So Channel obviously makes the deck tick, and when you have it with Lich's Mirror, it also allows you to essentially have a whole bunch of mana going into a new draw 7, so to speak. And you can, other than Emrakul, you can also win via the alternate strategy of Aureox Salvages and Black Lotus, which together give you infinite mana, cast the Emrakul, or cast Tendrils of Agony, because you've just cast a whole bunch of eggs this turn. It's very fun. So let's move on to Tempo deck. So Esper Tempo is fundamentally a tempo deck rather than a mid-range deck because it tries to use counter spells to protect one good threat. So what kind of threats are we talking about? We're talking about some of the best 3-drop threats in the game, like True Name Nemesis, Vendilion Click. Brimaz is also fantastic because you get white in this deck, as is Geist of Saint Traff, and of course we couldn't go past Monastery Mentor. You've got a lot of disruption, and one of the creature plus disruption packages is Spell Queller. It alone is an amazing card, but when you couple that with the aggressive counter spells like Evasive Action, which is pretty much, some of the best interaction on the stack when you're in a multi-coloured deck. So we have Swords to Plowshares and Paths to Exile to keep your opponent's creatures down and just keep bashing on through. There's also some Planeswalkers, and these are some of the best mid-rangey Planeswalkers like Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, and you're really going to find you're going to be able to control the game pretty easily and attack on multiple different axes with this deck. Another deck is built from scrap. This is essentially based on the EDH deck and has just been gassed up with cards like Talarian Academy and other broken mana like Mishra's Workshop and Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, all the rocks like Mana Crypt and Mox Diamond and Sol Ring and Grim Monolith, and Voltaic Key to untap these. And these let you power out disruptive threats like Lodestone Golem and Thought-Knot Seer to keep your opponent down, but also just big threats like Mere Battlesphere and Sundering Titan and Wormcoil Engine. Sometimes you might just be able to cast Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and you have the occasional win off Blood Moon. Sure, it turns off your lands, but you've also got rocks to produce extra mana, and by the time you cast Blood Moon, you're probably okay with shutting off your mana if it shuts your opponent out of the game. So the mid-range deck of choice this time is the 4-color Good Stuff deck that revolves around the Yidris card. It's a new card that allows you to cascade. It's pretty fancy and lets you get extreme value off a variety of cards, including cascading into Ancestral Visions. Colligan's Command, Hymn to Turak, and Rise and Fall are also great at getting you 2-for-1s or more, and you can use the hand disruption like Collective Brutality, Thoughtseize, and Duress to keep your opponent down whilst you play Bloodbraid Elves and Shardless Agents. The last deck we'll talk about today is the blue-red combo deck Twin Vault, and this revolves around the old modern deck of Deceiver Exarch Pestamite comboing with Splinter Twin to make infinite dudes, and Kiki Jiki, but also adds an additional axis to attack on, and that is Time Vault. So if you have Time Vault out, sure, you can combo out with if you use, say, Ral Zarek or a Tezzeret the Seeker to take infinite turns, but also you can just take the occasional turn by untapping it with Deceiver Exarch or Pestamite. And if you like to untap and take an extra turn every now and then, this is the deck for you. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll bring you another 7 decks next time.